Thank you very much for attending or viewing our presentation entitled Two Sides of the Same Coin, Identities and Roles of Management Accountants, a Systematic Literature Review. An extensive number of publications deal with the changing role of management accountants, for instance from the so-called bean counter to the business partner. Despite this large number of publications, there are still open issues such as the hybridization of management accountants, the implications of information systems, or further necessary role changes due to digitalization. When role changes are propagated, there is not only an external legitimacy needed, but the professionals have to internalize a new role script, which refers to the concept of identity. Identities and roles can be considered as two sides of the same coin. Identity looks inward to one's self-definition and encompasses the internalized meanings and expectations connected with the role. Roles, on the other side, focus on external behavior expectations related to a social position and look outward to the interaction arrangement in an organizational setting. As new roles imply identity changes, it's valuable to analyze the literature from an identity perspective. So far, management accounting literature has paid only partial attention to aspects of identity. Just a few articles directly mention the identity concept, thereby covering heterogeneous topics. This paper aims to contribute to a holistic understanding of the ongoing changes concerning management accountants by focusing on their identities. For the purpose of providing new perspectives, the paper analyzes and synthesizes the extant literature on management accountants by conducting a systematic literature review. The search was guided by the research question: what is known about identities and roles of management accountants? As previously stated, identities and roles can be considered as two sides of the same coin. Identity looks inward to one's self-definition and encompasses the internalized meanings and expectations connected with the role, whereas role looks outward to the interaction arrangement in an organizational setting and focuses on external behavior expectations related to a certain social position. Despite the differences between these two concepts, identity is closely interconnected with the enactment of roles, as identity looks inward towards the self-definition linked with the role. Identity includes how the role occupant interprets and makes sense of a role. The external description of a role is likely to affect the way people think about the role, while a person's identity influences the way one enacts this role. Consequently, role and identity evolve interactively, and thus the terms are often used interchangeably in the literature. From a management perspective, identity is essential as it influences people's attitudes and behaviors. Professional identity is regarded as a major element of identity and means one's perception of work-related interests, abilities, goals, and values. This systematic literature review focuses on professional identities, thereby regarding them as individuals' self-definition as a member of a profession connected to the performance of a certain role. We concentrate on identities attributable to management accountants, including their characteristics, experiences, motivations, goals, values, beliefs, norms, and interaction styles. This conceptual framework systematizes the focus areas of the literature for the purpose of delivering a comprehensive overview of the existing knowledge and a foundation for synthesis and further discussion. It consists of external aspects such as legislation and compliance, organizational aspects such as contingency factors, as well as individual aspects which are compiled of desired and ideal identity. To identify relevant literature, we conducted a keyword search within 7 databases. Our literature search was limited to peer-reviewed journal articles in English language on management accountants' identity or role. The initial search process resulted in 2,829 hits. In the next step, we excluded all duplicates and publications containing no information about management accountants changing identities and roles. The final sample consists of 62 peer-reviewed journal articles. On the next slides, I would like to present selected results to you. We begin with findings on external aspects, such as professional associations and educational institutions. The analyzed literature displays country-specific differences regarding the institutional environment and vocational training of management accountants. Goretsky and others describe in the case study how a new CFO can promote role changes for management accountants within an organization. However, for reconstruction of the identity, the link with an institutional environment is necessary as well. The authors indicate that courses of the Controller Academy supported the adaptation of the identities because the professionals were encouraged there to act as business partners. Identities are products of purposive actions and of professionals who are keen to improve the status of a professional group. The change of management accountants is additionally driven by concerns about their reason of existence due to digitalization and new IT systems. Here we cover organizational aspects, in particular decentralization and nested identity. Decentralization of management accountants is regarded as a key element for promoting business orientation because it changes the values and concrete activities of management accountants. It's interesting to analyze how the closer cooperation and proximity to managers and other departments influence management accountants' identities. Management accountants work within organizations with a distinguishable identity and at the same time within work groups with a certain understanding of their identities. Work groups are subgroups within an organization, and it's possible that a member of a professional group identifies with its work group rather than with similar professional groups within the organization. Therefore, workplace identities are regarded as nested identities. The case study of Taylor and Scapens shows different identities of accountants inside an accounting department and outside an accounting department. The term management accountant does not necessarily signify a common mindset. Recognizing that work groups can be distinct entities with their own separate identity, the ways of acting of accountants in different parts of an organization or in different locations might be closer to their local managerial colleagues than to other accountants in the organization. Consequently, it's possible for professionals to identify strongly with their work groups than with their occupational groups in an organization. Lastly, we will look at individual aspects, in particular multiple identities. Multiple identities imply that management accountants refer to a variety of different identities at their workplaces. Diverse foci, interests, and time dimensions represent these multiple identities. Different identities may stand for different levels of analysis. For instance, an individual's personal perception as a management accountant compared with the organization's collective consideration of management accountants. Identities are recurrently interconnected as the ideas of managers or external institutions directly affect the understanding of these roles by management accountants. Overall, identities are embedded within a broad network of workplace identities, institutions, and possible identities that shape the perceptions of professionals. Hybrid positions with dual or manifold functions imply multiple identities. Main drivers for hybrid management accountants are, among others, accounting regulations, internal performance monitoring policies, financial control systems, and lastly, management accountants' individual preferences, personality, and initiative. A further possible reason for the hybrid picture could be that management accounting itself can be regarded as hybrid. And that's the case because it was formed at the margins and out of a range of practices from other disciplines. The review shows that although identity is closely connected with changing roles, only a few publications explain the identity concept in detail. At an early stage of research, identity of management accountants has emerged as a separate research field with very diverse topics and conceptualizations of identity, based on different research streams of identity theory. The paper aimed to provide a holistic understanding of the ongoing changes concerning management accountants. Given the wide range of articles and variety of topics, it's difficult to draw overall conclusions. However, reflecting on the research question and the conceptual framework, we comprehend first indications of the influence of professional associations and educational institutions on management accountants' identities. Regarding legislation and compliance, the essential question is how the business partner model can work with compliance and control tasks without major identity conflicts. It's remarkable that despite the intense promotion of the business partner, the negative public image of management accountants is yet a topic. Concerning organizational aspects, management accountants still struggle with a low image in organizations, and moreover, their perceived image influences the identification with the organization and the profession. The analysis of the examined contingency factors reveals that we rely mainly on findings of large organizations, which accounts for a very small selection of the variety of organizations. The dynamics of the economic situation can lead to higher acceptance of the management accountant, as well as to negative experiences for them in critical situations. We recognize contradictory results regarding new IT systems, as they can create positions with more time for business partnering. Concurrently, management accountants can feel devalued by IT systems and limited in their professional judgment. Digitalization will influence management accountants' work and interaction styles because the accompanying data increase and analysis techniques will enable real-time analysis and decisions. The patterns of interaction illustrate that the proximity to managers is decisive, as managers can be simultaneously a source of stability and fragility for management accountants' identity. Additionally, to managers as their focal audience, there is the relevance of a broader interaction context with subordinates, peers, and other management accountants influencing their identity. Due to decentralization, which is proposed as the most successful way to change the precise activities and values of management accountants, they are dispersed in different departments and locations. This may lead to a nested identity, which means that management accountants identify more with their work groups than with similar professional groups within the organization. We comprehend that different foci and interests in organizations cause multiple identities. The discussion of hybrid management accountants refers directly to multiple identities. Most of the literature implicitly implies that the change to business orientation is a positive development. Although many management accountants obviously wish to be business-oriented, their commitment to fulfill such normative demands can cause tensions in their identity. Therefore, identity conflicts show the need for change, and the idea of a simple movement from one optimal identity to another is ambiguous and misleading. Concerning the competencies of management accountants, our sample shows that business orientation leads to increasing new competencies without reduction of the old ones. Therefore, the description of the business partner becomes more a narrative of an omnipotent thought leader who is able to combine incompatible requirements. Not only the current identity, but also the desired identity frames the interpretations of management accountants, and they support those changes, which are consistent with their desired identities. Thank you for your attention.